What's going on, guys? I'm Jesse from Jesse's Garage and Adventures, and today I'm going to go over some pretty simple troubleshooting procedures for like small engines, 2-stroke, 4-stroke, any of that kind of thing. We're going to go over some of the basic engine principles along with like how to actually troubleshoot them. Before I get too far into the video, I just want to say if you found this useful, please remember to like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Check out my other content, check out my Facebook page, all those things. So right here is a little generator that a neighbor of mine brought over. It won't start. He picked it up for like 20 bucks at a yard sale, and I'll go ahead and try and crank it. It won't start, but we'll put it in the start mode. The key is on, the switch is on, I mean. And it just does not start. So since it doesn't start, we're going to do some troubleshooting. An engine needs 3 different things to run. It needs fuel, compression, and ignition. So the first thing that we're going to do in this case is we're going to make sure that the fuel's on, which it is. So that's not necessarily the issue in my case, or it shouldn't be the issue. There could be a problem with the valve, but I highly doubt that that's the case. You need spark, which is ignition, and then you also need air. So we're going to remove the air box and then take a look at the air filter, make sure the air filter is not plugged. And then we're also going to take some carbon jet cleaner and spray it in there. And what that will do is that will give us the fuel we need. And if we can get directly to the carburetor, which I'm assuming is like right here, we'll know that it's getting air, and that will test our ignition basically. It'll also test our compression. So if I can remove all this stuff and spray it in there and it pops off, we know we've got ignition and we know we've got air. We're missing fuel. So let's go ahead and get at it. My guess is that this thing's missing fuel. I smelled the fuel. The fuel smells a little varnished, which my guess means that the float is stuck up or there's something in the pilot jet that's not allowing it to fuel up. So let's go ahead and remove this and then we'll test it. All right, so we've gotten this off. The air filter is completely fine. It doesn't even look like this thing's ever been ran through, which like I thought, our carb inlet's right here. We're gonna zoom in on this so that you guys can see what I'm doing a little better. Okay, so like I thought, our carb inlet's right here. So I'm gonna run through this right here to show you what's going on. So this is our choke right here. So what this does is when it's in the start position, this restricts air fuel, which causes the cylinder to have a more rich condition, which helps it fire up. So once it fires up, you're supposed to just roll this off and then it should run. So we're now going to fire a little bit of carb spray into the engine. We're going to turn this back over to choke and then see if the engine will fire up. And then as you guys saw, it fired right up with a little bit of fuel. So to me, that means that there's something going on with the carburetor, and we're going to take this apart and check everything out. So the first thing that you'll want to do is if your engine has a fuel shutoff, you're going to want to turn it off, which is what this valve right here does. And then we're going to tip this up on its side. Be careful doing that. Some engines will leak oil out, but we're going to try it here. So with this little engine, our float bowl is right here. We're going to remove this bolt and drop down the whole float bowl and just see what that all looks like. So I'm expecting either the float will be kind of sticky and it'll be stuck up in there, or there will be something in the pilot jet. And actually what we see here is just a bunch of oil pouring out. So to me, that means that somebody possibly tried to put 50-to-1 oil in here and didn't mix it with fuel. So after thinking about it, I think somebody let this sit for a long time and the actual fuel evaporated and then only the oil was left. But somebody else has refilled it with fresh fuel since then. That's really that's really varnished. So what I'm going to do to test this for a second is I'm going to put this back down, let all of it drain out. So what I'm going to do is just, while this is out, and obviously you don't want this drain on your workbench, but I don't really care. I'm going to turn the fuel on and see if fuel pours out of there. So no fuel is pouring out of there, which means I'm not getting fuel into the bowl, which to me indicates that the float is stuck. So we'll go ahead and remove the bowl and I'll show you guys the float and everything that's included with that. What I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to take the whole front of this off real fast, and then hopefully that will allow you to see a little bit better what I'm doing. And All right, so we've got the front removed. This is the kill switch wires. So since these bolts are removed, this should be pretty loose. Technically, anytime you get in here, you should be replacing your gaskets. I'm gonna try and run this without it, see if they leak, if they seal back up, which this thing looks basically brand new, so there's a good chance that they will. We'll just run it the way it is. Okay, so to remove this carburetor, I had to remove this stud, which was already loose, which doesn't look good for manufacturing, but it is what it is. Okay, so let's take a look at this real fast. If you look here, there's a ton of gunk built up on this. And then when we look in the bottom of the float bowl, it's just got a bunch of varnish. So what happens is when fuel sits in here and goes bad, it'll look like this. Luckily, the float and the needle look like they're moving, but we'll go ahead and pull that apart. So this right here is the float. It's held in by a pin. We'll just push the pin to one side, grab it, pull it out, and then we'll be able to slide the float and the needle out. So on a lot of these newer engines, the needle has got a rubber tip. You just want to make sure that that's still pliable, but I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's a bunch of stuff built up on that, so we'll clean that as well. As far as this goes, we're going to take this apart and clean this out, and we're going to spray down into this nozzle. So fuel comes into here, and it's metered by that float. So the float will float in the fuel, and then whenever the fuel level in the bowl gets high enough, the float will go up, and it will stop additional fuel from coming in. This right here would be your pilot jet, and this controls your idle settings. Then this is a two-stroke that's self-governed. So this is your governing rod. So whenever the engine, there's a governor gear inside the engine, and it will move around with engine speed, and that will actually control your engine speed. You don't have a throttle on this engine. All right, so on the carburetor side, we'll start off by cleaning this out and then just getting a flathead screwdriver and removing that. Once that's loose, you should be able to pull it out just fine. So this is our pilot jet. We're gonna clean this out, and I'm trying to look through it, and I cannot. So it's completely clogged by debris, and that's why fuel cannot get in. All right, so let's talk a minute about cleaning the jets. So when you're cleaning the jets, you don't want to force anything bigger than the diameter of the inner hole through this, because this is what meters the amount of fuel can get into your engine. And if you somehow wear this out, you can get way too much fuel in the engine, and that'll cause problems. What I like to do is I'll get a piece of wire, and I'll strip the end of it about an inch, and I'll pull 3 or 4 strands of wire out and twist them together until I can get about the size of the hole. They do sell like actual jet cleaning kits, and I have one, but I cannot find it. So I'm going to make this real fast, and this is just a really simple, easy tool. You know, most people working on stuff like this have a little bit of wire laying around. And then we're just going to try and get this into the hole and clean the orifice out, which, as you see, I just got it. There we go. You can see all that nasty green stuff. Well, I'm hoping, trying. I guess the camera doesn't want to zoom in, but yeah, you can see all that nasty green stuff on the front of the jet. So we're just going to clean this out real good. Once it's on there, I just twist it around a couple times. And then just like that, I can see through it. And we're going to do that a couple times just to make sure everything's clean. And then what we're going to do is take that carb cleaner and spray it out really good just to make sure there's no more debris, nothing possible. But yeah, like I said, you don't want to shove anything that's really hard down this hole. And these are brass, so they're not like super robust. Copper shouldn't tear the brass up. One thing to remember if you're cleaning these out with carb clean is do not hold this anywhere where the spray can get into your eyes, because it does not feel nice. So I'm going to hold it, block it with my thumb, and spray it out. And you can see that goes straight through it. I don't know if you'll be able to see through it on the camera. I probably can't manage that. It's a really small hole. But yeah, as you can see now, it's nice and clean. So we'll clean the carburetor out, and then we'll go ahead and reinstall everything, see if it runs. Something else you can do while it's all apart is grab your fuel line and test your fuel shutoff just to make sure that it is getting fuel. And I'm just going to crack this just a little bit to see if fuel runs through. Yep. And if you notice, that fuel that I just got out of there was clean. So to me, that indicates that this thing may have never even ran, and whatever it was shipped with went bad inside the machine. All right, now we're back to the needle. I'm trying to get it to where you can see it, but the needle's got a bunch of debris built up on it as well. So we're just going to clean that off. These rubber tip needles are pretty hardy. They all live up to like a lot of abuse and a lot of reuse. If you've got a machine with an older one, it could have a brass needle, and then you will have an O-ring up inside where the needle goes if you do have one like that, and you'll have to replace that O-ring. They make a special carb tool that you can stick down in there. It'll pull the O-ring out, or you can oftentimes use just a pick and get in there and slide it out if you have one of those. So now we're just going to spray this all out, clean it, make sure that if I spray this, fuel should come out the bowl area. And it does. All right, everything seems to be cleaned out. Realistically, whenever you're doing this, you want to have an O-ring set or a new gasket set for the carburetor. I don't have one. I'm just trying to see if I can get this thing running for my neighbor. I'm not charging him anything for this, so we're just going to try and get it done with what we have on hand. We're going to reinstall the pilot jet, tighten that down. We just want that snug enough to where it's not going to fall out, but not enough to overstrip it. So I wiped down the float. It's not really going to become clean just because it's kind of stained. So we're going to hook the needle back on the hook for the float. We're going to insert the needle into that barrel. And then slide the float down. This stuff should all kind of slide together and not give you any issues. And then we're going to reinsert this pin that holds it all together. And then we're going to stick the float bowl back on it, and it should be ready to test fire. It's important with a lot of carbs to make sure that the float bowl is oriented the right direction. This float bowl doesn't really have a correct orientation. A lot of them will have like casting inside of here, which will line up with this. But one thing I'm going to remember is I'm going to point this on this side of the carburetor. That way, if for some reason in the future we want to drain it, we can just easily get to it instead of having it pointed back towards the engine. It did slide together pretty easily. We're going to grab that nut that we took out the bottom. As you can see here, there's an O-ring which should stay on this, but I didn't want to peel it off the bottom here since it seems to be attached pretty well. The carburetor is reassembled. Now it's time to install it back on the machine. Okay, so after I got that hook in there, I'm going to just hook the spring in. And this is your governor spring and rod. Just make sure that that's all assembled correctly. As I said earlier, realistically, we should probably have a new gasket set, but I'm just trying to get this together for them for free. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull this back off, thread this in, and then tighten it up with my pliers. This was loose when I took it apart, but we don't want it to necessarily be loose when it goes back together. One plus side is the clamping force of the nuts will kind of keep it in place to some degree, but it won't be a lot. You can also double nut this, which I might actually show you guys how to do that because a lot of carburetors will require that. So another useful method of removing these studs is to slide one nut on, slide a second nut on. You'll hold the nut in back in place, and then you will tighten the first nut. I don't know if I'll be able to, I might have to go grab a 10 millimeter. So when you double nut it, you just keep the one in the back held still. You tighten the one in the front. This works better when you have more space here, but then you can use that to tighten the rod, and then you can remove them by holding this nut still. Actually, it looks like they just slid off together once I cracked it. And then I can no longer pull this out by hand, that's what we want. We're going to insert the gasket back on it. Hopefully this whole thing seals back up and doesn't give me any issues. These gaskets look really nice still. We're going to insert the fuel line on it. Slide the clamp back over the fuel line, just to keep that all in place. And then I've got a couple of wires I need to connect underneath here. All right, guys, with a lot of these things, it's important to remember what order the wires come off. What I always do is this has like a little protector on the back side of these wires. I pull one off, like up the wire, so that I can tell which one goes on the top and bottom. And then we'll just slide this all back where it needs to go, put the bolts and nuts on the front, and then we'll try and fire it up. All right, it's time to test it out. We're going to turn the fuel back on. We'll give that a second to drain fuel down into the bowl, get everything ready. We've got this on start, which automatically chokes it. and we're going to try and pull start this thing, see if it fires up. First pull, it fires right up, no issues. We're going to go ahead and reinstall the air box. Now we're going to take this down and we're going to test run it just a little bit on my fan just to make sure everything works and that it actually generates power. So we'll swap over to that. All right, guys, we're just going to hook my barrel fan up in here. Always remember, if you're going to run in an enclosed area, have the garage door open or whatever, which I do. So what we're going to do is we're going to fire this up, move it over to run on this setting, and then we're going to plug the fan in and make sure that it all works. Make sure that the kill switch is on. Oh, really? All right, so as you can see, it's running, the fan's running, everything seems to be fine. This machine's a little cold-natured, and it's also like 30 degrees out. You can see my breath. So I had to let it warm up a little bit. All right, guys, so let's talk a little bit more about this process. So mine was pretty simple. It was a carburetor. But you can have a lot of different issues. You can have spark plugs that are bad coils, all that stuff. A lot of those issues will be identified if you do the carb spray in the throttle body or into the carb. And if it doesn't pop off with carb spray, you need to be looking at your ignition or compression. It's obviously easier to check your ignition first by just removing a spark plug, seeing how the spark plugs look, and then you can also get a spark tester. So they make like little inline testers. I have one somewhere, but it's no point in digging it out. But they will show you like a little light that pops up every time the ignition fires. And if you hook that up and you don't have your light, you need to then start looking at coil, or even like the mistake I made where I had the kill switch off while trying to crank it. Obviously, it's not going to start if it doesn't have ignition, which that's what that controls. Some other things to remember is that this is a two-stroke, so you have to add your fuel into here. Many of you probably already know this, but this has got the fuel plus oil already mixed together. This doesn't have engine oil in the engine. So if you have a four-stroke, you just put normal fuel in it, and then you have oil that you need to double check, make sure that's all topped off. And then back on the conversation of if it's not fuel, if it's not ignition, you may have a compression issue. If you can turn it really easily over, you could have bad rings in an engine. It could be all kinds of other issues. If you have a four-stroke, it can have valves. So two-stroke doesn't have valves. Well, some two-strokes do, but that's a different conversation. But your four-stroke will have intake and exhaust valves, and if your timing is messed up on that, or if for some reason something's broken and you've had a piston to valve event, lots of other issues can go on. But I always recommend starting out with your fuel. It's the easiest, and it's oftentimes the most often cause of no starts, and then working your way up to the complexity. Another thing you can do, if you've already tested your fuel and you've tested your spark and you have both of those, you can get a compression tester, screw it in where the spark plug goes, and then pull it a couple times and see if you've got compression. A good rule of thumb is like 70 to 80 pounds at least of compression is good. If it's got more than that, it'll run. Now, a lot of engines, if they've got too much compression, that can indicate a different issue, like you're burning oil and your chamber is full of material, but you'll have other signs before that happens. But yeah, this was a pretty simple fix. Most people can do this in the garage with very simple tools. All I used today was a Phillips screwdriver, a flat screwdriver, and a 10mm wrench, and then just a little piece of cord that I had laying around to be able to clean those jets out. It's not super complicated, and the worst thing you can do to something that's already broken is just break it more. So especially if you're trying to learn, don't be afraid to get after it. And once again, I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Please check out my other videos on my channel if you're interested in this kind of stuff, and plus camping and all these other things. I appreciate you guys' watching. And don't forget to check out everything in the description below. I'll have my website there where I do some write-ups on different things, and then I'll also have my Facebook and Instagram and all those other things where I post like truck content or what I'm working on whenever the time comes. All right, thank you guys. Have a good one.